too. My stepdad turned my family against me. If you haven't watched the first part of this story yet, click the card above or the link in the description. Now for the second update. Alright, sorry for the delay everyone. Work has been busy, and I just got home this past weekend. I sat on that message from what it turns out was, in fact, my stepfather. My curiosity got the better of me, and I called him. I did do what some had suggested, and recorded a call using a different app. I wish I could say the call provided me something, but that would be disingenuous. Hearing his voice made my skin crawl. He asked how I was, and I told him to cut the nonsense, and he laughed. Nothing incriminating on his end, of course. Talk was about 3 minutes long, about nothing. I did ask him why he wasn't content with me being with her, and he said I wasn't man enough, and that a woman like her would have been wasted on me. He has a very traditional way of thinking relationship-wise, which is especially funny because it shows how much he never knew about our relationship, or her in general. Without going off on a tangent, my ex was/is pretty notably against gender norms. She has a very well-paying job and told me she'd never be comfortable being a stay-at-home mom/wife. She even often took the initiative for stuff in our relationship, etc. There wasn't really much to take away from the conversation other than that. I don't really know what he wanted, but I told him not to call me again and hung up. Not very eventful on that front. I flew back home prior to the weekend last week and went to my uncle's birthday party. Had a good time, and the family was very welcoming and apologetic for not being more supportive after everything. None of them were ever rude or anything. I've got no negative feelings towards any of them. I then talked with my brother and set up a meeting at his place with my ex and mother on Wednesday night. On Wednesday, I went over there and got what I expected. Lots of tears, lots of apologies. I admittedly had a tough time keeping it together. I talked with both of them and my brother all independently. Mom has already filed for divorce, which is good, and I appreciate her doing so. We had a decent conversation. You can tell it's strained, but I think we're making some progress towards healing. My brother and I had a good talk. He apologized for everything that had happened and I accepted it. Can definitely tell he feels remorse for how it all shook out. And for the work he put in to make it right, I definitely don't hold a grudge. My ex and I had a very long discussion through most of the night. We'd been talking over the phone for the last couple weeks already. A lot of it was just catching up. We're obviously two very different people now after nearly a year and a half apart. We had some more serious discussions later on about everything. About how screwed up it all was and how broken I was by it all. She told me she'd already seen a therapist and asked if I would be willing to come with her to her appointment Thursday. She's gone above and beyond for everything I could have asked of her the last few weeks, and I'm really truly appreciative of it. I went with her to her therapy appointment, which I feel was very productive for everyone. Her therapist seemed to be very appreciative of me being there as well. So we stayed talking for a while after, and I decided to ask if she wanted to go out Saturday night. So that's the plan right now. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I wanted to show her that I appreciate the effort she's putting in to try and mend what's been broken. And selfishly, I'd like to see her in a setting that isn't like the ones we've been in. That's the update for now. Things are looking up. Haven't seen any of my stepdad or his family since getting home. Appreciate all the support from everyone. We'll update with anything new. Now for the comments. I really want to believe that she changed. It isn't that gullible anymore and won't fall again for such BS if anyone would ever try again. Because it seems that you really want to get back in a relationship with her. If you think that getting back together is the best thing to do, then it's your choice. Up to you. Hopefully things will be okay from now on. I'd like to, yes. That said, I'm still wary of it all. And I imagine will be for quite a long time naturally. I read your story recently, and I was so angry about your despicable soon-to-be ex-stepfather. I know it's probably going to take some time to mend what can be mended, and some things will probably hurt for some time, but I'm glad for you and how things are getting better. And am I correct in the understanding that your brother is who used to be your stepbrother? Because that's a point in your story that surprised me. As soon as you saw what length he went to reach out to you, you dropped the step. In any case, hope things go better for you as time goes. He is. It was actually accidental at first, but I certainly think he's earned that now. So wait, is brother still dating ex, or did he step back once everything came out? They aren't dating. Went on 2 dates at the suggestion of stepdad, but both felt gross about it. I'm honestly a bit concerned that because you don't have a strong support system, you let your mother and ex too fast back into your life. I would never trust them to have my back like a family should, ever again. Mom has already filed for divorce, which is good, and I appreciate her doing so. Why are you appreciative? This is a bare minimum, and mostly self-serving to get rid of a liar. If she didn't do this, she would be a monster. But if she does it, she stays a terrible mother and person. The same goes for you being appreciative of your ex trying to mend things. Not saying they can't change, but I would stay low contact for years to come and see if they seriously want to change. I'm appreciative because they've done all I've asked of them in the past few weeks. I'm communicating and trying to mend some things, but I'm still living across the country. It's more just a timing thing than anything else that I'm home this quick. At the end of the day, I'm not going to be with them because I'll be living so far away. They're gonna have to make that effort, and assuming they do so, I'll give them the time to try to fix things. Next story. Update. A woman I'm dating posted my picture to an online cheaters page. I, 36 male, met Danielle, 33 female, on a dating app and we immediately hit it off. Conversation was super easy for us, so we swapped numbers and spent the next 2 weeks texting and talking on the phone. I explained early on that I want to take my time, because not only am I looking for something serious, but also have work commitments the next few months. I work in tech product sales, which can be very busy. It also involved me leaving the city for a few days at a time. She said she understood and was also looking for something long-term. Great. We met the weekend before Valentine's and had a nice restaurant date followed by dessert and coffee. We finished with a kiss, and I walked her back to her car. It was definitely the best date I've been on since my last relationship. The next day, I called her to say I was looking forward to seeing her again and would plan something when I get back. Now, I live in a major North American city, and from the 15th to 17th, I was booked 3 hours away for an on-site client meetings. I told her about this and let her know that we'd keep in touch. On a Friday I'm due to get back, I get a message from a close female friend asking who I angered. I have no clue what she's talking about, so she sends me a screenshot of my photo on what looks like a Facebook page and tells me it's a private group where women call out men for cheating. It's called Are We Dating the Same Guy? And this particular group is just for people from my city. In the screenshot, multiple people are posting under my picture with mostly harmless comments like, "Oh, I went on a date with him years ago. He was okay." But there were others like, "PM me for the tea." And one woman said, "He's an angry a-hole. Stay away for your safety." Because it's Facebook, I instantly recognized her name as someone I went on a date with the last summer who I had to block after she repeatedly tried to sell me her cat. Absolute lunatic. A few things about me. I am single. I have never been married and my last relationship was over a year ago. I'm very selective, and Danielle was the first date I'd been on since the end of summer. I'm also a very private person. I don't use social media and I don't kiss and tell. So the fact that my photo is on this site is mortifying. What makes matters worse is when I got home, I started getting texts from a bunch of other people I know, either laughing at me or calling me a womanizer. As of now, I'm aware that several female friends have seen it. One coworker, my sister, and a woman I know who lives in the same building as me that excitedly grabbed me when I was leaving this morning to tell me, "I saw you in that Facebook group." Apparently, it's a lot more popular than I realized. There's only one person who would have the motivation to do this, so I called Danielle on the weekend and asked her. Initially, she denied it, but after some prodding, that flipped to apparently her friend posting it. Why? Because a few of them had gotten tipsy together on Valentine's as they are all single. My name came up after her friends asked why she wasn't with me that night after the great date she'd told them about. Apparently, me not being around as I was leaving early the next morning for work was suspicious, as was the fact we'd been talking for multiple weeks but she'd never seen my place. She gave them a picture I used on the dating app, and one of them posted it. She told me she was sorry, but that seemed too good to be true. Her last relationship ended due to cheating, and she wanted to make sure I wasn't married or in a relationship. I told her I needed some time to think and would be in touch. That was Saturday. We've been silent until today when I woke up to dozens of messages from her saying things along the lines of, "I'm so sorry," / "I'm so angry with myself for this." And then the real truth. It was her that posted it. She wanted to come completely clean and apologized for lying, telling me she panicked when I confronted her, but she wants it all out now. She sent me screenshots unprovoked of the PM conversations she was having with women in the group about me. Aside from the one head case I mentioned earlier, there was nothing accusatory. But what I couldn't get over was how they were discussing me in such an open manner. It had nothing to do with whether I was single or cheating. It was stuff like, he took me to this restaurant, he drives this kind of car, this is what his place is like, this is how much money I think he makes. I would never talk about exes or people I've dated like that. And if a guy tried to talk to me about Danielle like that, I'd think he was a freaking weirdo and tell him to stop. My two closest female friends are divided on this, so I'm here for advice. One thinks that women need to protect themselves against predators and violence, and groups like this are necessary. The other is angry on my behalf, because the presumption of men being posted to that group are that they're cheaters or sketchy. Otherwise, why would anyone even post them there? I really don't know what to do next. I've never had to deal with anything remotely like this before. I like Danielle, but it was one date. She also lied to me about it at first. This seems like a headache, and we've never even hooked up yet. Is she going to get even more paranoid after that? It doesn't feel like we're compatible. This feels like the past 3 weeks of us talking have been one massive waste. And that actually stings, because she's the first person I've really liked since my ex. Now for the top advice before reading the update. I'm really surprised you're considering moving forward with her after this. She lied to you. She invited judgment of you. She is very vulnerable to the opinions of others. And she is insecure. Insecurity definitely does not bode well with a job that will take you away from home often. This is a lot for one date, and quite frankly, below the maturity level I'd expect of a 33-year-old woman. I think you should let her go. Chalk this up to a story you'll laugh about someday on future dates and get back out there. This woman is insane. Don't walk away. Run. You can try asking her to take it down before you reject her, but don't keep your hopes up. Also, remember that she will likely share your text messages with the public, so be very careful in what you say. One date, and you're already deep in drama? Man, even the crazy ones can normally hide their crazy for at least a few months. But nope, this crazy was already strong on day one. To top it off, she lies when she's confronted with something unpleasant, and is projecting BS from past relationships onto you on day one. What advice would you give someone else who told you the same story? Because to me, this sounds like a bunch of red flags all up front. This is what I came to say. That and run. Now for the update. Back with an update, but firstly, a couple of quick notes based on the feedback I got. I don't care if you think my close female friend violated the sanctity of your super cool secret girls only club. As she told me, her loyalties are to me. She's known me since I was a child, but knows that I didn't deserve to have my photo plastered there. I understand that those groups may be necessary in keeping women safe or finding predators, but their moderator should go harder in ensuring that it meets those goals, rather than running a de facto gossip club, where innocent people's personal lives are affected. I've had dozens of people reach out with very similar experiences, so perhaps your rules should reflect that, rather than just keep boys out. As for the lunatic who wanted to sell me her cat, Cat seemed like a cool dude, but I just wasn't in the market for a pet. He also only had 3 legs, which made him run like a drunken sailor. All cats deserve love, so I hope he got away from her. Some of you alarmingly struggle with concepts of consent. I consented to my photo appearing on a dating app. I did not consent to my photo appearing in a "is this guy trash" group. These are not the same, and the stigma and assumptions associated with both are vastly different. I really shouldn't have to explain this, but here we are. Regarding me not realizing how big this group was, 3 of the women in my life all found out about it the same way. On Valentine's Day, a radio show ran a segment on it, then it got picked up by blogs and social media. It's even appeared on local television. My friend saw it on Twitter. Another saw a "this guy was dating 12 women" post that got shared and decided to investigate. My sister was texted by her friend about it, and when they all rushed to check the group out, there I was. Great timing. It currently has over 50,000 members. Anyway, moving on. So I decided not to pursue things with Danielle. She took the post down during our radio silence, but it mainly boiled down to just not seeing her in the same light anymore. I can accept that she is genuinely sorry, but I also know how I am, and it wouldn't be fair to either of us. This is supposed to be the honeymoon period. Everything is supposed to be light and cute. Now it's just suspicion and resentment. Not gonna lie, that period between when we first started talking to when I went away on my trip was really great. I looked forward to talking to her. When I would see a text, I got butterflies. When we kissed, it felt electric. Some people said what she did was such an obvious red flag. They were questioning why I was even hesitating. The reason is that I haven't felt like this in some time. My last relationship lasted 5 years, and after we broke up, I legitimately wondered if I could find that spark again. Especially after trying dating apps here and there, and not having much luck finding the right person. I do want to feel that spark again and find my person, but holding on to something that already has these problems before it even starts is the wrong move. Instead, I'm simply happy I got to experience it. Now I know it's out there and possible again, just not with Danielle. But I'll be honest, I did wake up today thinking, hey, you never know. Maybe a couple months down the line I'll think different, and maybe we'll go grab a drink. And then I saw she texted me. To preface, before I left the city for work, she sent me a photo with a message, "Don't forget about me." It was her in a bikini on a summer beach blowing a kiss. She's quite chesty, so it's not exactly safe for work, but there was no nudity. I opened today's text, which reads, "Hey, hope I'm not disturbing you, but I'd like to ask you to delete that picture I sent and do not share it with anyone." WTF? I just replied, "The only copy of that picture is in our chat thread. Do you seriously have this low an opinion of me?" To which she apologized and said she was just making sure. Fine. At first I was annoyed, but then I realized the most important thing. It was a reminder I had made a right decision. So I made another and deleted her number. I can't believe he didn't tell her. I would never share a photo of you without your consent. What kind of monster would do that? I kind of think he did say it in a classier way. You seriously think that low of me? Implies what she did was low AF. As someone who's been cheated on, I understand Danielle's insecurity and trust issues. The fact that she took it out on OP after one date shows that not only is she nowhere close to ready to date, but she also is giving her ex way too much power. She needs therapy before going into another relationship. Update. Am I the a-hole for cutting his daughter off and taking away the things I was doing for her after she had some type of relationship with a woman her father cheated with? Original post. I, female 29, usually stay with my now ex-boyfriend Carl, male 38, on weekends. He lives with his daughter, female 16, when she's in due to joint custody. He works a job that he hates because he has no opportunities for career growth. So 7 months ago, he started a company with an associate, Gabby, female 35. She's definitely successful and knowledgeable, so my concern was what would happen if she ever decided to cut him off. I'm mentioning this because his contribution to their business was bringing in clients but not anything technical. For the past 5 months, he stayed out late while working on their plans. I never had any reason for doubt or suspicion until he went to meet her on a Sunday afternoon. I didn't say anything because I know starting a business requires a lot of effort, but it's odd to allow an associate to interfere with family life. 2 weekends ago, she showed up and berated him for cheating on her. We were hanging out at his place with his 2 brothers, mother-in-law, his daughter, and sister-in-law. Gabby showed up knocking at the door while Carl was in the shower. I started getting weirded out when his family seemed hesitant to answer the door. His brother finally went to talk to her, but she walked past him and confronted me. She asked about our relationship. I'll admit that I was a bit rude because I got defensive. His other brother went to get Carl, and it all turned into a crap show. At this point, I'm disgusted, and I don't know who was the real girlfriend and who was the side chick. Also, it's worth noting that she accused his family of betraying her. Carl remained vague when I demanded answers, and I felt like slapping him, but I controlled myself. She stormed out after an ugly exchange. I broke up with him that same day and haven't been able to find my way back into a good mental state. I can't believe anything he says, so whatever he explains will be a lie. This is where I might be the a-hole. I made the decision to pull my support for his daughter. I had been paying for a makeup subscription box, but canceled it. She was getting her prom dress as a loan from a friend of mine who has 4 girls. I told my friend what happened, and we agreed that his daughter doesn't deserve any of my help. I also kicked them both out of my streaming services, will not help with the history school project, and will not keep her in my magazine subscription plan. Carl reached out, trying to discuss what I'm doing about his daughter. He said she's just a teenager and shouldn't have to pay for his mistakes. I agree that she has no power to stop him from doing bad things or from being a liar. And I know that she wouldn't be in a position to tell or warn me that her dad was cheating. But she's almost 17 next month. She's very mature, and she's definitely capable of telling right from wrong. She had zero problems getting stuff and receiving help and favors from me and was comfortable asking for things. She's not a brat or the demanding type. She low-key asked for stuff and I was happy to help. I'm sure she also benefited from Gabby because it makes sense, since I'm under the impression that Gabby was no stranger to her either. I told him, let Gabby do it, and he tried to complain about how Gabby vandalized their website. She took their page down, and all it shows is a black screen. He says she locked him out of all the logins, and supposedly had all her contacts block him. The only thing giving me a little joy right now is imagining him naked and holding his balls out in the cold. Am I the a-hole? My friends are divided over this, not because of him, but because they say she's just a teenager. Now for the top comments before reading the update. How long have you known his daughter? She knew her dad was cheating on you and didn't care enough to say anything. Also, you broke up with her dad. Do you have any desire to maintain contact with him, his daughter, or any part of his life? If not, then you did the right thing. You should inform him and her about needing to find a new dress, so she doesn't get entirely blindsided, only because that's a formative experience for teenagers. But you don't owe her any favors or further involvement. However, if you've been involved with raising her for years, you may want to reconsider your approach and wait until after the anger has subsided a bit before making any decisions about her. Just my 2 cents. Not the a-hole. I've known her since she was 15. I don't want to continue the relationship because I don't trust her, neither her dad nor anyone in their family. It sucks, but why would you continue to help out someone else's kid? Tell Carl that she's not your kid, so maybe her father should start paying for some of this stuff, so she doesn't feel like she's being punished. Block him. It's not her fault, but it's not your responsibility either. If Carl had made half the effort earning a living as he did trying to get his D wet, he could afford things for his own daughter and have time to help with her history project. Now for the update. Thanks to everyone who took the time to reply. I think the consensus was about his daughter. I will not be contacting her at all. I reached out to Gabby via social media, and she replied. I explained my position and that I didn't know about her. Hence, I was very rude and reacted with hostility. We exchanged messages. She said that initially, he told her that we were in an open relationship that was about to end. They were talking for months before they began their relationship. She said he first introduced his kid, then his younger brother, and that she met his mom when Paul invited her for lunch and had his mom show up without telling her. Also, she said that his mom was less than friendly and that his mother made a small scene because she decided to pick a fight with her own boyfriend. He and mother-in-law are currently broken up. There's no way that she's making this up. Mother-in-law treated that guy like crap. About his daughter, Paul used to visit Gabby on some weekends and would leave his kid at Gabby's place because they bonded over DIY projects. Now I know where his daughter got her fairy, witchy, fantasy, and elf polymer clay jewelry and hair accessories from, so I guess his working on weekend gigs was a lie. She said they became a couple about a month or 2 after starting their company because she wouldn't accept an open relationship. He told her that we were done, when in fact, we never broke up. Had a crisis, nothing. Gabby mentioned that her dad freaking hates him and that things began to get rough because of things he did and her dad noticed. She said her dad and other family members always met for Saturday dinner or Sunday brunch at a particular restaurant, and that her dad noticed how she always paid for Paul and his kid. And if Paul ever paid for his food, he didn't pay for hers. She said her dad called her out because he usually paid for everyone, his treat, his family. And he was getting very uncomfortable about Paul. He paid for Paul to avoid making a scene, but he was fed up. So her dad told Paul he expected to be treated for a change, as a hostile joke, when they arrived at the restaurant, and Paul was very offended. Later, Paul told her that her dad's remark was a put-down. She also said that her best friend raised concerns about him, and that everything started to crumble because he didn't attend her family's Christmas lunch as he promised. He remained a bit low-key during the holidays and claimed to have influenza. He used both of us, but he took far more advantage of her because she made material things available. And while I don't know her except for this situation, her messages show that she's very affected but mostly angry, and I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up destroying him. She repeatedly mentioned that he deserved to have his life ruined. I didn't know that Paul didn't get an MBA like he told me. He never worked the 2 jobs he claimed to have, which he also put on his resume. She found out because she paid for background checks and other tools when things started not adding up. Supposedly, this was part of why she started testing his abilities and had been thinking about pulling the plug business-wise. She says it's all bullshit and that he's very insecure about his social standing. She told me a lot of stuff, but in a nutshell, I'm going to get tested for STDs and have already told my family what happened. I'm leaving it at that because writing about it really irritates me for being stupid enough to believe him. Thanks again. This whole situation is a masterclass in why you should never ignore red flags. The ex lied about everything: his relationship, his job, his education, and somehow still had the audacity to act offended when people didn't cater to him. The daughter is just a casualty in all this, but wow. Imagine finding out your dad is not just a cheater, but also a full-time con artist. Hope OP gets tested and then blocks everyone involved. Red flags. I mean, is it possible the dad has just always done this? I knew a girl in elementary school who casually mentioned that her daddy had 3 wives, and when asked, she admitted that she never even thought to mention it to any of his other wives, because all of them knew her, so obviously they knew about each other. Obviously, it's a bit different because she's like 17, but maybe she's been so used to it she doesn't view it as strange. I hate to assume a kid is bad, I guess. How do you get background checks done? Did she say what services she used? That seems like it should be done right at meeting someone nowadays. She didn't say, but I'm assuming it may be a service used by HR companies. Also, she said that she corroborated his supposed graduation year with the public PDF document from that university's graduation records, and his name wasn't there, not in PDFs from 5 years back or 5 years forward. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not disciplining my children for spoiling their new stepfather's birthday? I have 2 kids with my ex, age 14 and 12. It's been 10 years since my ex and I broke up, and we're not on the best of terms. All communication is generally through an app unless speaking face-to-face, which is rare. She got married in August of last year. Her husband's birthday was last weekend, and according to her, on the day of, she had a whole day planned for her, him, and the kids. But the kids had rotten attitudes the whole day and spoiled his birthday dinner that night with his family. She claims they refused to wish him a happy birthday, tried to get out of spending the day with them, and were sullen at dinner. And when she talked to them about it on Sunday, they told her they didn't see why they had to celebrate her husband when she never wants them to celebrate me. That's referring to the fact that I always took my kids shopping for gifts for their mom for her birthday and for Mother's Day, and I'd let them drop off the gifts on her birthday if I had them, or I'd send them to their moms with the gifts if her birthday fell during her custody time. The kids typically ask. I know they have asked her to do the same for me, and she refuses, which bothers them a lot. My ex has disliked me doing that. She said it's trying to make her look like a bad mom or parent because she won't do the same for our kids. There's also bad blood surrounding the relationship between her husband and the kids. She wanted them to keep it from me that she was dating someone, but they didn't. That's been a sticking point ever since, too. The kids don't like him. They mostly just ignore him, but the birthday celebration made that difficult. Add the fact that she has said no to them when they asked for her help in getting stuff for me, and it's all very messy. And honestly, I don't care. My kids didn't do anything dangerous. They also didn't make a big scene. For me, it's not great, but I'm not invested in those relationships over there. My ex expected me to carry on the consequences she set for the kids at their house for their behavior on her husband's birthday, but I didn't. She realized this when she saw our daughter with her friends on Wednesday, and my ex was mad enough to come by the house and yell at me. She said I should be presenting a united front with her on this and demanding they treat her husband better as their third parent. I just told her to leave and close the door. Then, yesterday, my kids saw her outside the diner they typically go to with friends on Thursdays. They said she didn't look happy, so I guess she's getting ready to confront me about it again, potentially. Am I the a-hole for not disciplining the kids for the birthday incident? Now for the top comments. That is her husband, not their dad. I would honestly say if she confronts you again, if you showed me respect, they might show him respect. Right now they see no reason to even show him the smallest amount. And she forced them to go spend a day with someone she knows they don't like. To her, he's their new second dad, and she's mad they don't agree with her. Heck, maybe they could have had a great relationship with him if this had all been handled better. But if she thinks I'm going to do the hard work to improve the relationships in her household while she does everything she can to make them worse, then she's got another thing coming. Get your kids into counseling. They need some place to help them deal with the crazy. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to date as a single mom, even though it upsets one of my friends who wants me to try dating her brother? I, 30 female, am a single mom to 11-year-old twins. I haven't dated and never had a boyfriend or any relationship. My twins were conceived in a pretty awful way, but I love my kids, and I have done everything to provide them with a good life or the best life I could give them. For a few years now, I've had some friends who have always been super great about things. But now I'm having issues with one of my friends. Several months ago, my kids and I went to a barbecue party she hosted, and I briefly met her brother. After the barbecue, he told her he was interested in me, and she's been on a mission to try and set us up ever since. But I told her numerous times I'm not interested. She gets more upset the more I refuse, and has asked me why. Even when I explained it to her, she said a single parent has the right to date and have their own life. And she said I deserve a good partner and that her brother is a good guy and we'd be great together. The truth of it all is, I don't trust myself to date while my kids are under 18, or heck, even while my kids live with me. I was raised in a toxic household and was left with many self-esteem issues from that. My parents lived in the same house with their respective spouses, and all four treated me like crap. It was unusual and unconventional, and it didn't work because of their personalities. I was told every day how disgusting and ugly I was, and I internalized it and never made friends or connections outside the house because of them. I still lived with them when I got pregnant, when I was essayed by the son of a friend of one of them. Getting pregnant was what kicked off my drive to make a better life for us. My kids looking like me is what made me stop seeing myself as disgusting and ugly, because my babies are beautiful, and I never want them to feel like I did. Loving them helped me love myself, or at least hate myself less. I have worked at that so hard for them. Our lives weren't always easy, but I have fought for my kids and worked my butt off to give them better. There were times when a partner would have made our situation easier financially, and my kids may have benefited from a stepdad. But I don't have the best instincts when it comes to people. I know that, and I know that not all step-parents are good. Not all are bad either. But I know I could get us in a mess so fast by trusting the wrong person or entering the wrong relationship. I would never judge another single parent for dating, but I don't want to risk my kids because of my issues. I don't want to lose a friend over this, and it's not about saying her brother is a bad guy or that I don't trust or believe her, but even good people can have a bad relationship. I also don't want to sound judgmental towards single parents who date. I think my friend sees it as all that because it's her brother, and he already has an interest in me. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. If you are not interested in dating for whatever reasons, it's your choice. Your friend should respect that. May I suggest therapy if you can? It would help you in many ways. I don't mean that in a bad way. Therapy is very beneficial. I did get some free therapy in the past. It wasn't the best, and I think it being free didn't help. But it was all I could do. Right now, I wouldn't be able to afford more professional therapy either. In the future, it's something I'd look into though. Also, another good reason would be that step-parents are the biggest danger to any kid. Having a love life should never trump your kid's safety, and frankly, Many people move on way too quickly when their kids are not ready for the change. Then cue all sorts of drama. OP, you're doing the right thing here. Not the a-hole, not even a tiny breath of being one. You are an amazing, strong woman who is dedicated to giving her children a good life. Your friend seems to be over-invested in seeing you in a relationship with her brother, but that's her problem. You are the only person who knows what works for you in your life, not anyone else. I would give one word of warning for you to consider, however. At some point, your children, no matter how much they love you or how close you all are going to begin to detach themselves from you. They will develop new friends, interests, opinions, and even leave for college. And this will be healthy, and in fact, will be another proof of what a great job you will have done in raising well-rounded, emotionally healthy, strong individuals. But do make sure that you are prepared for this. If you can afford to, perhaps consider seeing a therapist, partly to unpack some of the trauma you are still dealing with, but also to give you some coping strategies for the future. Either way, I have nothing but respect for the way you have been dealing with the horrible hand you got dealt. I'm prepared for them to get their own lives going more independently. I'm excited for it. I want to see where my kids will go in the future. That's not something I was always able to imagine, but it's happening already, and I'm loving it. Seeing my kids grow and develop as their own people has been amazing. I just hope if they want college someday, I'll be able to help them out with that financially. I can't afford a therapist right now, but it's something I want to look at again in the future. Am I the a-hole for becoming indifferent towards my wife after discovering her affair? Original post. My 30 male wife, 34 female, and I have been together for 8 years, 5 of them married. I thought we were the kind of couple that could tell each other any problem. I loved her deeply and always believed she felt the same way about me. Like many couples, we had our ups and downs, but I never thought it could lead to infidelity. 4 months ago, I started noticing changes in her behavior. She was more distant, always glued to the phone and avoiding our conversations. You know, the typical thing about a cheating person. Well, one day I came across a message on her phone that confirmed that I feared the most. She was seeing someone else. It was like a punch in the stomach. I felt anger, sadness, and an overwhelming sense of betrayal. But instead of confronting her right away, I decided to wait. My main reason was to protect myself in a possible divorce. If I was going to face this situation, I wanted to have solid evidence. So I spent the next 2 months gathering messages, photos, and anything else I could use if things got legally difficult. During those 2 months, I pretended normality while the pain piled up. I watched her act like everything was fine, and with each passing day, my feelings for her faded. The love I once felt was replaced by indifference. If anyone says that love for someone doesn't go away, well, it's not entirely true. When I finally gathered all the evidence, I confronted her. I showed her everything I knew, and although she tried to deny it at first, she finally admitted that she had been having an affair. She said it was a mistake, that she still loved me, and that she wanted to work things out. But by then, I didn't feel anything anymore. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I didn't even get angry. I simply told her that it was okay, that we could get a divorce, and that we could each move on with our lives. My lack of emotion baffled her. She said my indifference was cold and cruel, and that if I had truly loved her, I should have fought to save our marriage, which was ironic coming from her. But the truth was that I did love her, very much. Only after 2 months of living with a betrayal in silence, I just didn't care. Am I the a-hole for becoming indifferent towards my wife after discovering her affair? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. Remember this, the only reason she is sorry is because she got caught. And she wants to work on the marriage after she realized she was caught. Me thinks the affair partner doesn't want anything serious. More likely OP has money and the affair partner does not. Not the a-hole. The indifference you are feeling is probably a defense mechanism. Don't be surprised if you have a lot of different emotions. Good luck, OP. True, grief hits people differently and sometimes at the oddest moments. Now for the first update. Wow, honestly, I didn't expect the volume of messages I've received in the past few hours. I apologize for not being able to respond to each comment, but rest assured, I am reading them all. My inbox is flooded with hundreds of replies, and I'm truly moved by the support and by how many people took the time to share their experiences and opinions. At first, I felt overwhelmed reading so many stories from people who have gone through similar situations, some even worse. I never imagined that so many people could relate to what I'm experiencing. It's eye-opening to realize that infidelity is more common than I thought. And yes, there were also comments that made me question whether I disconnected emotionally too quickly. But after reflecting, I believe I did what I needed to do to protect myself. Some have told me I should have tried to save the marriage, but the truth is, I don't think I could have. The betrayal felt like a wall that went up between us. And once I saw everything clearly, there was no going back to what we once had. It's not that I don't want to love or be loved. It's just that the chapter with her is over for me. Does that make me cold? I don't know, but it's my truth. One of the most impactful realizations has been seeing how many people are stuck in relationships where trust has been broken and they feel lost in how to move forward. To everyone who asks how I'm handling it, I don't have a definitive answer. For me, it's been a slow process, day by day, watching the love fade until it was simply gone. I also received messages from people in my wife's position, those who made mistakes but genuinely want to make things right. It made me wonder what would have happened if I'd confronted her before my feelings faded. Maybe things would have turned out differently, but honestly, I doubt it. Once trust is broken like that, it's nearly impossible to go back to what it was. Anyway, I want to thank everyone who shared their words, whether supportive or critical. You've given me a lot to think about, and I'm grateful for that. I'm processing all of this bit by bit, but if there's one thing I'm sure of, it's that for the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe and look forward without the weight of what happened. Thank you again. Bro, just love your kids. I don't have children, but we plan to have them in the future. Also sorry for others' comments blaming you for the affair. It's amazing how they always blame the victim. Divorce is the right decision. That level of lowness isn't something worth trying for. Second update. Hi everyone. For those who don't know, I'm the guy whose wife cheated on him and I eventually became indifferent about it. I'm doing this mini update because many of you asked for one, but I'm feeling a bit lazy today, so don't expect a long one. To start, the divorce is in progress. The notice was delivered to her at a friend's house since the house we live in is mine, inherited from my mother's side. Regarding the divorce, she didn't take it well and called to tell me she would contest it, saying we weren't getting divorced. I didn't respond. I just hung up because hearing her voice bothered me in that moment. I read some comments saying indifference is a way to protect yourself from strong emotions, and I think they were right. After a few days, I started thinking about the time invested in my marriage, and I really got angry. For her, 8 years of relationship meant nothing. She was willing to throw it all away for someone else. For those curious, her lover is older, maybe 40 or 47, and he has a wife and kid. Honestly, I don't care what happens to him. Both he and my soon-to-be ex are trash that came out of the same landfill. Sorry I got angry writing this, so I took a break to calm down. Back to my soon-to-be ex, I really don't care if she contests the divorce. She's only making things harder for herself, since all our assets are separate, including the house where I live. For now, that's all I have to share. Thanks for the advice, and to those who commented that I should work things out with her, screw you. You don't get to decide for others, and frankly, it says more about your own issues. I'd rather divorce 1,000 times over than stay with someone who has no morals. Tell the wife of her lover, not the a-hole still, good luck in your divorce. She's a cheating POS. This and change the locks to your house. Maybe get some cameras. I have a sneaking suspicion that she might want to surprise you in a skimpy outfit in your house to pursue you. If she tries, call the police on her. I think she still thinks you will come around. Not the a-hole. Indifference is the ultimate power move. She made her choice, and now you're making yours, with a coolness that probably stings more than any argument would. Contesting a divorce from a house she doesn't own? That's next level denial there. Keep calm and let her handle the consequences of her own choices. Went through something similar. Indifference saved my sanity too. Stay strong. Focus on your peace and let her deal with the consequences. Contesting a divorce she can't win is just noise. You're doing what's best for you, and that's all that matters. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to loan my sister money for a divorce lawyer after she cheated on her husband? My sister, 36 female, has been married to her husband, 38 male, for 12 years. They have 3 kids together, and up until recently, I thought they had a pretty solid marriage. But about 2 months ago, she confided in me that she's been having an affair with her boss. She claimed it started because her husband doesn't pay attention to her. But honestly, I think it's just excuses. Well, her husband found out last week. He's devastated and wants a divorce, which has put her in a bad financial situation. She's now asking me, 32 male, for a loan to help cover the cost of a divorce lawyer and some of her living expenses. I refused. I told her that I can't support what she did and that her actions have consequences. She got furious, called me judgmental, and said I'm abandoning her when she needs me most. Our parents think I'm being too harsh and should help family no matter what. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give her the money? If your parents think you're being too harsh and that family helps no matter what, then they can step up and help her fix her mistakes. Family helps family. Yeah, right. Who is helping your brother-in-law? Your sister has showed that she'll betray family for her own pleasure. Exactly. If my parents are so set on family helping family, they can go ahead and cover her lawyer fees. Funny how that rule only seems to apply when it's convenient for her. It's unfair to her kids and husband. Not the a-hole. Tell her to ask for a loan from her boss. Yeah, that's what I told her actually. He could lend her the money. Not the a-hole, and you should be judgmental because your sis is a piece of trash. It's not the first time she cheats on her partner. She did that on one of her first boyfriends, and I found that really disturbing. Not the a-hole. I mean, let's break this down. She didn't accidentally bump into an affair. She fully signed up for that plot twist herself. Now she's looking at you like her personal get-out-of-consequences-free card? Sounds like she's got commitment issues. Not to the other people's money, apparently. And your parents think you're being harsh? Right. Because nothing says supportive family like bankrolling a cheating scandal. You're just politely reminding her that actions have, those things called consequences. It's like she's somehow shocked that there might be real-life consequences for breaking up her family. She didn't just slip into an affair. She chose this mess and now expects the family to rally around her like she's the victim here. And my parents are really pushing that family loyalty angle. But to me, loyalty doesn't mean blindly funding someone's mistakes. It's one thing to support family in times of hardship, but she created this situation. She was hoping I'd just bail her out with no questions asked, but that's not how it works. Maybe it's time she starts figuring out the commitment she's got to her own choices. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not helping my ex-husband with babysitting and telling him to F off? I used to be married to Tom, and I honestly thought we were happy. We had a great house, good jobs, close friends and family, everything, until we had our daughter. She was born with a disability that heavily restricted her physically and mentally. Tom, being the coward he is, left us. Only recently has he started paying child support. He got remarried and had 2 more daughters. I don't speak to him, nor do I need to. He never talks about his own child and basically ignores her existence completely. His wife has tried to include my daughter and me in their family, but I refuse. I don't like her and I focus on myself and my daughter. Now here's the problem. His eldest daughter from his second marriage was in a horrible car accident a few months ago. She survived but is in critical condition and still in a hospital. Tom approached me and asked if I could babysit his youngest since he and his wife need extra time to visit their other daughter. He offered to pay me. I told him I didn't have time to care for his child and suggested he call other family members. He begged me, saying his family lives too far away and I'm the only close person he knows. I told him that's not my problem and explained that my daughter isn't used to having new people in the house. She needs to know someone for a long time before she's comfortable, and I'm not putting her comfort at risk for his child. He called me selfish and said I was punishing him and his daughter. I told him he could think whatever he wanted, and I haven't spoken to him since. His family has been harassing me over this, but I don't think I'm wrong. They're fine with him being a deadbeat, yet they're giving me grief for not bending over backward for him. I'm here because I do feel a bit guilty, but I think that's just mom guilt. Am I the a-hole? Why hasn't all those people giving you a hard time stepping up and helping him out instead of hassling you? Don't know. Maybe they can't stand him either. First of all, tell his family to watch her themselves, and then tell them to F off. Where were they when he ignores his child? Block them all. Not the a-hole. He refuses to see his daughter as his own, so you have no need to see his daughter as your own. He needs to own up to ostracizing you and your daughter and find a babysitter. It's just a weird thing to ask your ex, who hates you, to babysit your child. Some people just have no shame. Last story. Am I the a-hole for calling off the wedding after my fiancé gave his ex closure without telling me? I, 28 female, have been with my fiancé, Tom, 30 male, for 3 years. He and his ex, Sarah, were together for 6 years before we met. And she's been a shadow hanging over our relationship the entire time. At first, I understood. They shared a lot of history, and breakups can be tough. But we're supposed to be each other's future now. We're planning our wedding, building a life, and I thought he was done with the past. A month ago, Tom got a random message from Sarah asking for closure. He didn't tell me about it, and instead of ignoring it or at least discussing it with me, he responded and met up with her. I found out when I saw a message on his phone that said, "Thanks for last night." My heart dropped. When I confronted him, he swore nothing physical happened, saying he stayed over until early morning just talking. I don't believe him, and worse, he got defensive, calling me insecure for feeling betrayed. He said Sarah deserved closure, and that I should understand since he's with me now. The more we talked, the more I realized he doesn't think he did anything wrong. I tried to explain how hurtful it was that he hid this from me, especially when he didn't need to. But he made me feel like I was the problem for being jealous of a friendship. Then came the kicker. Tom had the audacity to tell me this needed to happen so he could truly move on. He even suggested that Sarah should come to the wedding as a friend to show everyone there's no bad blood. I was stunned. How could he think it's appropriate to invite his ex to our wedding? Someone he apparently still feels the need to support? I've since called off the wedding, saying I need time to think, but my family and friends are split. Half say I should be able to trust him if he says nothing happened, while others think I'm totally justified. Meanwhile, Tom has been telling our friends that I'm controlling and making a big deal out of nothing, and now I'm second-guessing myself. Am I the a-hole for putting my foot down, or am I overreacting to something that really was innocent? He stayed there overnight for closure? Just how long does closure take? Not the a-hole, and he is bad-mouthing you to everyone, which only confirms your choice. I wonder how he'd feel if he spent the night with her ex. Exactly. I can only imagine the outrage if the tables were turned and I'd stayed over with my ex. Somehow, it's okay for him to pull something like this, but if I'd done it, I'm sure he'd see it as a betrayal. It really shows a double standard and lack of respect for our relationship. I have come to a realization I deserve someone who values my trust as much as I valued his. Not the a-hole. You're the rebound. OP, that whooshing sound you're hearing is from the bullet you dodged. The controlling comment was game over no matter what. Get everything that is at his place and block him. They can have each other. Right? That was the final straw. It just showed he was trying to twist things around and make me feel guilty for his shady choices. I'm definitely done with this. Time to get my things and move on. They're welcome to each other. Thank you for this.